Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Mindful Movement. This is episode 5. How we come here? Honestly, you know,
5 episodes in already. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, we've obviously reduced the frequency, but we're still producing the podcast, which obviously we know our audience have been enjoying so far. And it's been, I've enjoyed it.
and to be fair, like even like the analytics of the podcast itself, like it actually has helped us so much with our social media.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and I'd say especially it also expresses our individuality, so actually conveying that we are human beings and not, always in our entrepreneur mindset.
Yeah, this is like the side of us where we can really just show who we are
Yeah,
and just like go out the business and just give you guys another perspective of us, which is the real us.
yeah, and that's it. And obviously, it opens the opportunity for debate. Listening to our audience's POVs as well as our own perspectives as well. I think it's just really an opportunity to learn about not only us but really the topics that we address on these podcasts.
Exactly, Kane. And it's like today's podcast is going to be about the crazy experiences that we've both had in the gym. So, starting off, Kane, what is one of the most crazy experiences you've ever had in the gym?
I would say an event that transpired last year in 2023 in March was when unfortunately a member at obviously Pure Gym passed away, and that was a traumatic experience to say the least. I've never been in that predicament before. However, I did everything I could, and it was only I knew that I did everything that I could. I've never seen so many emergency service people in that building at one time, and genuinely just astounded me how severe it was. Bearing in mind like this member was just doing their own thing, and then suddenly something like that occurs. It's like it's just preparing for the unexpected and just always being you know proactive and not reactive.
I remember that day actually. It was in the daytime, wasn't it?
It
Around,
was around, it was
you know,
about the afternoon, I think, about
yeah,
3 o'clock.
yeah.
Three
I
o'clock.
actually come to the gym that day, and I remember I tried getting into the doors and I couldn't get in, and there was paramedics there. And I thought, what's going on? You know,
Yeah, there were police officers, there were paramedics, there were first responders, there were all sorts of people. I think there was like a crew of like 15 people
wow.
on the first floor, mixture of, all sorts. Never seen like these machines, these equipment, or these medications. Just had all sorts, just attempting to keep him conscious at that particular time.
I actually remember that day when it was like I remember saying to there was another member of staff, and I asked them like, what's going on, and they basically said the gym's closed. They didn't really go into too much detail, but I remember like looking at the situation and thinking, "Damn, this is serious." Because so many different people here. You've got paramedics, you've got police officers, everything like that. And I actually remember saying to myself, like, I actually respect the employees because the amount of pressure that would be on yourself because you don't expect it. You don't go to work thinking, oh, that's going to happen. You
No,
know,
obviously, by law, we all have to have our emergency first aid at work qualification, which we all have. However, I recall I was talking to two members. It was a mother and a daughter, and a member rushed down the stairs. Literally informed me that probably within 10 seconds I was up there, like with first aid and everything. I was like up there straight away, and obviously yeah, just adhere to obviously what my qualification entailed, and as a first aider, ultimately it's just to ensure that the casualty is kept conscious until paramedics arrive.
mm,
But obviously my former line manager, ironically, went out leafleting, and obviously it wasn't too long, thankfully, that he returned. But thankfully there were other employees there. Obviously they weren't on shift, so I was like to one of them, "You contact obviously the emergency services." I was like, "You contact my obviously our former line manager," and I was like, "Right, I'll handle the casualties. So just place them in the recovery position, monitoring their heart rate accordingly, just ensuring that they're conscious, well, just checking for any danger, and Yeah, and obviously because it escalated that bad, obviously we had no choice but to evacuate the gym, and obviously hence why it closed as well.
The thing is, we're lucky to have people that are trained, especially because the last thing I think about when I go to the gym is I might not get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just the last thing that's on your mind. So the fact you got through it, Kane, and you're so professional about it, and we're lucky that we have people like yourself. You know, because most people would freeze in that moment, even with the qualification.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact you was like already downstairs where the defibrillator already was. So you was with a woman and daughter. Did you grab the defib straight? Well, did you go straight up?
So it was only the first aid kit I grabbed and not the defib, just because the description the member gave me about the situation, obviously all I was made aware was that the member was bleeding, and that's it. So,
Yeah.
but even though the member still was conscious and had a heartbeat, our defib wouldn't have worked on the member anyway. So our only viable option was just to initiate CPR, just to ensure that consciousness is kept as well.
Oh,
Because otherwise, a shock wouldn't have been generated from the defib to the casualty.
just because you still had a pulse.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Unless if because obviously when the investigation occurred, obviously I got like they inquired as to like why I didn't bring a defib, and it makes sense because obviously like I was only I was only made aware of like vague information and details about what occurred, and obviously it wasn't deemed necessary because obviously again the casualties still had a heartbeat. So even though there was like a number of members of staff, but I think I recall like obviously a number of members of staff getting the defib, just as obviously as a precautionary measure, just in case, because obviously there's only so much that you can anticipate during that particular predicament.
Yeah, that's it. And if a member comes up to you saying, "Oh, they're bleeding," the fact you brought the first aid kit anyway is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, damn, right, it's on. You know, so why would you bring a defib for a bleed?
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Unless if the member explicitly said like they passed out or anything like that, then fair enough. But obviously that wasn't terminology that was used. So, but at that moment in time, it was like a difficult dilemma to say, right, do I leave the casualty and get the defib or do I monitor him? And I felt like the best course of action at that time was to monitor him. But thankfully there were other employees there, so I could obviously place my attention predominantly to the casualty. And obviously, I instructed my employees to obviously dial emergency services, my former line manager, obviously get the defib, etc., etc. So thankfully there were numbers, which was helpful. And there was also another member who assisted me in the process of ensuring that the casualty stays conscious as well. So because he was first aid trained as well, even he was initiating CPR as well. So I do give my gratitude and my respect to obviously the member, which he knows who he is, who obviously willingly volunteered.
Wow. Did it leave any effect on yourself like afterwards?
It did. As you expect, you undergo these mixed emotions where you can't comprehend what's occurred because you haven't undergone that experience. And obviously I was offered like time off and stuff, but I just said no. I said for me, my best thing to do is just do what I do best, just work. And, you know, but it was more like as time knew, like I genuinely knew that I did absolutely everything I could. Even their family said so, because obviously, again, my former line manager and myself, we had to pretty much meet with the family and obviously, pretty much, cover the CCTV footage and pretty much cover what occurred. And, the family, bless them, were really, really nice to me. And honestly, I was like, even in spite of, the tragedy that occurred, they knew that I did everything I could. Bearing in mind, obviously, I was on my own for a little bit and I was just like, "Do you know what? Thank you." So it really put my mind at ease hearing it from the member's wife as well as obviously their other relatives as well. But it was just more like I remember saying something in front of their family, and the regional manager was down there, and even he was like, quite astounded at me because he was like, he loved the comment, but I think I said, like, on behalf of the company, like, you know, we send our condolences as well, but you just felt like, it was just really respectful what I said, so.
Love that. Love that. That is a crazy experience.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like now, it's like, you just kind of feel those emotions looking back at it, but it was, well, an experience to say the least.
well, mine's not nothing like that. My experience is, um, to be fair, it's one of the experiences I don't think anyone wants to experience. But it is a common thing if you work in such an industry.
It is, and ultimately, I would say, as a first aider, it's imperative that you recap your knowledge, especially when it comes to casualties who are unconscious as well, and especially like being aware of how to use a defib. Even though obviously the defib will prompt you with instructions on how to use it, but it's more like how to manage your emotions. And like for me, like I was more like I was calm and collected, but I just adhered to what was stipulated in the book, really, and I did it to the letter. I would say, even though obviously the outcome is not what anyone wanted, but it's just a shame. I mean, they had like I said, I forgot what the machine was called, but it's like I think it was like a cola machine or something. Like when you do CPR, it's like a machine that does that. And when I was witnessing like the paramedics using the machine, the amount of force being applied was like immense. Like obviously, I think they say like you need to at least compress like X centimeter, like 5-6 centimeters into the chest, and it looked like I don't know, like someone should like create like such a shockwave. I was like, I've never seen anything like it.
I've never seen that before. So it's like a machine that they put on top of the.
Yeah, think of it as like it's like a thing with like four legs, and in the middle it's got like this punch thing, and it like literally applies force from the machine onto like the casualty's chest to like attempt to like restart or reboot the heart.
Wow, I've never seen that before.
Nor did I. So I was like speaking to one of the paramedics, just saying like, "What is it?" and like, "What does it do?" And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." Enough for me. What is your craziest experience that you've had in a gym?
Mine's a lot different to yours. Um, mine was mine was like traumatic in a different emotion.
Oh,
So what I mean by that is I was in the gym and a former members of staff was next to me, and we was in the ground floor of the gym, and across from us was a member at the gym, and he was doing barbell squats. He's got the barbell on his shoulders, and he's squatting, but on each side he had 5 kilogram plates. And I remember this member of staff who worked there. Um, he wasn't in the best shape at all. Like he didn't go to the gym, nothing like that. And I remember he turned around to me and he started laughing at the member. And I thought, what's he laughing at? And he literally pointed at the member and he went, why come to the gym if you're only going to lift that much weight? And it actually really affected me because I thought, wow,
damn.
I thought, damn. And I remember I turned around to I turned around to that member of staff and I said to him, how much are you lifting? You know, and he didn't say anything. And I thought, I'm not going to stand here and shame members because they're in there, they're working on themselves. Everyone's at different levels in their journey. And I thought to myself, why did he say such a thing? And then I realised when I thought into it, I went home that night and I said to myself, and I actually asked myself, why has he said that? And I said to myself when I got in later on, I said, the reason why he said it is because he's insecure himself. That guy reminded him of where he wants to be, but he can't because he's just choosing not to.
It's interesting you say that because, ironically, I was actually having a conversation with someone yesterday about stereotype
Mm.
pin, and especially in the health and fitness industry, like many individuals, obviously me included, obviously guilty as charged, we're all psychologically programmed to stereotype. So, and obviously, the vast majority of us have heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, and it's reflecting on that and realising, like, not to have a biased judgment on any individuals. Like, if someone's not going through the proper range of motion, or if someone's not using the proper execution for that technique, or if someone is in this particular shape, like, why are you judging? Like I said this to someone yesterday, I was like, every single individual that's worked out ever in their life is being an predicament. And ultimately, it's experience that enables them, as well as you, to go from here to here, whether it's physical, mental, psychological. And it's a shame. I mean, the amount of individuals that come up to me and say X, Y, Z about other individuals, I'm thinking, but you're not, it's not your place to say that. Like, it doesn't benefit you in any way. All it does is perceive you differently to other people, and you're potentially hindering their self-image and their self-esteem. Like, you do not know who they are, what position they're in, how they're feeling. It's like, if they knew what you said, like, that could be detrimental, not only to their goal, but themselves, especially when mental health has such a significance in this day and generation. It's like, just be kind.
I agree. And I think the reason why it affected me so much is because I know what that guy's feeling. That guy who's lifting that barbell, I know what he's feeling. We all do. When we go to the gym, we all have gym anxiety. Yeah. And it's a horrible feeling. And the fact he did put 5 plates on and he went in, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you are watching this, you know who you are, I want you to know that we are here for you. You know who you are. And the fact that you've said that about a person, I want to be able to help you, because obviously you need that help. Because for you to stereotype someone else, you're not happy with yourself. And if you do want to change that, we're here.
Love that.
So yeah.
The thing is like, going back to when you said about gym anxiety, can't get my words out, people will contemplate, like someone like me, because obviously people will stereotype that I'm in the shape I am, or I am strong, or whatever. I always stay humble, but my point being is, even an individual such as myself undergone that experience. Like, during my early days of training, I remember being like intimidated by the free weights, even as a male. And this is again stereotyping, because obviously you've got that ratio of male to female that feel intimidated, because statistically men are going to occupy the gym more than females would. And it's like, I would feel intimidated over like the men that were like that muscular, or they would like, just reminds me of like the men roaming the gym like we're in the Jurassic era or something. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, it's like, what, we've got a Tyrannosaurus Rex here, or Giganotosaurus or something.
I get what you're saying though, because it is intimidating,
Yeah.
And those people, if you actually got to know them, as you know now, they're people that you were so intimidated of, and the most nicest people in the gym.
Exactly, and this is...
They help you.
Yeah, and this is where, again, it leads back to stereotyping, because, like, again, I felt like that about other individuals, especially when I was younger, but then there have been individuals who have also felt like about me. So then, like you just said, it's like, that's not always the case. Gym politics, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. Well, guys, obviously that concludes episode 5 of Mindful Movement. As always, obviously, Andy and I cannot express our gratitude enough for you watching, especially if you have made it this far into the podcast. And as always, we will have another podcast releasing in the next month or so, as much as other additional content, which will be free on our social media. So if you did enjoy, guys, you know the drill, obviously making sure that you do follow us on our social media platforms. And obviously, if there is anything that you are interested in, or if you do want to share your own story, feel free to obviously comment in the comment section, and obviously we'll get back to you, and we look forward to listening to your stories. Thank you very much, everyone. See you soon.